That time of year. Christmas shopping. Is it still considered shopping if you do it online? I'd say so. What are you doing? What you doing? What's in your boxes? Okay, so apparently by Christmas shopping, what I meant was I ordered myself a bunch of stuff and forgot about it. Doesn't really matter. It's supplies. I don't consider this being greedy. Excuse me. I'd like to go outside now. Just slide you over there. Yeah. Okay, you're fine. I finally got a new air pump to put on this guy here. I got this for free from where I used to work a long time ago. They had these in the lobby and they were getting rid of them and said I could have them. I had two. One of them got blown over and broke. But the air pump that's in it, there's supposed to be an air pump inside there, busted, and I contacted the company and they wanted $350 for an air pump. Which I was like, yeah, right, not happening. No way. They're not spending more than $50 on an air pump. That's insane. So I got this guy. Gonna hook it up, see if it works. The problem is I don't know if it's gonna be too strong or too weak. The check valve that's in this thing is weak, so hopefully it won't get electrocuted. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Yep, that is really loud. And less bubbles. So I'm gonna be sending that back. What a waste. Got some filter pads to change. Not much water flow going on there. I try and change these out once a month. I used to just wash them off and reuse them, but I'm using calcium, magnesium, and then silica to water these things, and that's all getting in, runs back in there. So figure need fresh carbon. Carbon removes impurities. I also run a carbon reactor on this, so probably overkill. Yeah, the fish will be happy. That's not enough water flow. There's an air pump back there, and there's a circulation pump that's running a UV sterilizer. Actually, 3 UV sterilizers. Because, you know, I'm not trying to spread diseases on all my orchids. This is the water I water my plants with. Yeah, okay, I'm going to get this done. I'm not looking forward to it because it's disgusting. I'd call that a drastic improvement. Holy crap, I had no idea how dirty those filter pads were. I have fountain heads to put on here. Should I try one of those? That's nice. A little bit more quiet. And that thin wall of water moving around in here. That is going to help with the humidity, which is one of the reasons that I even have this thing out here. Whoops. I tripped the breaker. So I've been asked, why do you have a swimming pool or a pond in your garage? I've had this in here for several years during the winter times for various reasons. Getting a hose out here running a water line into my garage would be expensive. So can't do that. And to water the plants prior to having the pond out here, I was having to run a hose from my kitchen sink back outside and get the... It was too hard to water out here, and I wasn't able to monitor how much water I was using. And where I live, our tap water is extremely alkaline. The pH ranges, you know, from about 8 to 8.6. That's very, very, very hard water. And the majority of tropical and subtropical plants and orchids don't like alkaline water. And I have an RO unit that provides the water for my fish tanks, but that comes out extremely alkaline as well. So by having this big pool of water in here, I'm able to neutralize the pH and control that. And I kind of consider it an off-season, sort of, from chemical fertilizer because the plants are supplied with natural fish water, which has ammonia nitrate in it, and lots of other micro and macronutrients. I do have some live plants in there and some mud and some silica-based types of substrates that help to enrich the soil, flush out the chemicals, and help re-enrich it. And that's working really well so far. That's the first reason, is watering. I originally had a 100-gallon trough in here, and it was nowhere near enough. I was having to drain it down about 3/4 of the way every time I watered, and that's too much of a water change for the fish. That's not good for them. So, upgraded to this. It's 6x6, about 32 inches tall. I think it's roughly 750 gallons. I'm better able to monitor how much water I'm using. There are some cons to this method that I've been using, and that is, well, disease. You don't want to share too much water between your orchids. It hasn't been an issue, but I say that as it hasn't been an issue yet. To be preventative, the fusarium uproar that happened on YouTube did have me thinking that I should be a little bit more cautious, and I installed 3 ultraviolet sterilizers on here, which is extreme overkill. It will help kill bacteria and viruses. It's all, with that much UV sterilization, it's also going to potentially kill some of the good stuff in the water. I have them set on a low flow, so there's a long exposure time to those bulbs. That's important with ultraviolet sterilizers. Also, I make sure to change the bulbs and cleans. They're in a quartz sleeve. Make sure to clean that out really well and wear gloves and everything when I do it. So there's enough ultraviolet sterilization on here for, I think, probably like a 10,000 gallon pond. But the thing is, if I am soaking the orchids down here in this water, then the amount of time it takes for a virus to move from one plant to the one that's soaking right next to it is faster than the UV sterilizer is even going to get it. But I figure it's better than nothing. And if that way it'll help keep any pathogens that, any types of cross-contamination going on there. So I am careful with it. You're not supposed to like splash your water from orchid to orchid, but things are just so compact in here that there's just not really a way around it with my Vandas. It's going to happen. So I just have to cross my fingers and hope for the best, and make sure you got to check your orchids every day and keep an eye on them and be ready to treat for any diseases as soon as they show up. The next reason that I have this in here is humidity. The winters here, most places that have cool winters, cold winters, the air is very, very dry. And I tried having multiple humidifiers out here, and it wasn't cutting it. And it was humidifying certain areas, but to a point where like certain spots were very concentrated with high humidity. It was condensing on the plants, and I even had some crown rot issues with some of my palm trees because they were getting too much. And with this helps keep the air a little bit more moist. It would do a better job if I could heat this properly. I do heat it, hence why the breaker flipped and the power's off, because I tried to install a new heater and it was too much. But this, this thin vinyl siding, it's kind of hard to keep this thing warm. Last night it got down to 14 degrees here, and so in here, in my grow space, it got down to, I think, 51, and right now the water temperature is 54. 54-degree water isn't going to give you very good humidity, but it's okay. It's better than nothing. The humidity in here right now is around 45 to 50%. I would prefer it to be more like 60 or 70. Even higher if possible, especially now that I finally have a circulation fan installed. But it's better than nothing. It's working better than the humidifiers were, and the humidity outside right now is around 20-something%. I think it's actually a little bit lower than that. The air is very dry today. My skin's all itchy. I don't like it. So yeah, those are the main reasons I have this out here. I'm sure I could think of a lot. Oh, and it's just fun. I used to have a koi pond in the backyard, and dug it up to put in a pool, which I'm not complaining about. But I love fish, and so there is just a certain amount of enjoyment to it. These are koi, so they can't stay in here forever, but I do have a friend with a gigantic pond that will take them when they get too big, and then I'll swap them out with little guys and just keep doing that and over and over and over again. With some of my first orchids, I would water them with the water that was in my beta bowl. This is 20 years ago, and the betas people used to keep in the vases, the plants. It's not really good for those fish, but times have changed. I was a kid, and those Phalaenopsis and Dendrobiums that I watered with that beta water just flourished because there's the ammonia nitrate in there. So this is sort of that on a larger scale. Like I said, I haven't had any problems with it yet. The plants grow well through the winter, much better than they ever did when I was just using tap water to take care of everything. Another advantage to this is that it's filtered very heavily. I have a carbon reactor in here to help remove the chemicals. Anything that gets in there, mostly fertilizers get in there, which will raise the phosphorus really high. And the phosphorus gets really high, you have algae outbreaks, and it sets your plants into bloom, which, that's nice. But with my temperatures out here, like 50-something degrees, it's probably just going to burn them up. It's not really going to be very beneficial. But yeah, so there's my garage pond, and that's the ridiculous reasons as to why I have it. Hope everybody's having a lovely day.